now that they are out and we know
Recording is on.
we know the way people are using it after getting a lot of feedback from thousands of users. We have redesigned some parts of some part. The fundamentally it remains the same: non-custodial, multi-sig account and backup scheme and all that. But essentially, the way the user is using it, that has given us some additional insights to change the design. So we have made a lot of functional changes as well, like performance and stuff. But I wanted to present the design in front of you guys and see if you guys have any suggestions or feedback. Right. So Sumi, are you here with us? Are you able to share? Are you
Um,
able to?
I'm here, but I think somebody needs to permit me to share because the option on my phone is like grayed out.
You're on your phone, are you?
Yeah, is it?
Mm,
Is
I
that going
don't
to be a
think
problem?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if we've had anyone share on a phone before. Actually, I
I've
don't
tried to
know.
share on my phone before, and it's pretty limited. I don't want to say it's impossible, but if you're trying to share screens, I couldn't do it. Maybe you can find a way. It says start screen sharing in the option. There's like a computer icon with an arrow. If you want
Yeah,
to try that.
that option is like grayed out. So give me a
Oh,
second. I'll
okay.
just join from my computer.
Okay, cool.
So Sumi, I can start the link and you can talk about it. I can
Sure,
share it from my computer
sure.
if that helps. So I'm going to try and share. Um, yep, share. Okay. So this is the link you sent me, Sumi, and over to you. Tell me what you want me to do, and you can do the talking.
Is it something you can share with us as well in the chat? Or
Yeah, absolutely.
okay,
I can.
cool.
But are you guys able to see the screen?
Yeah, we are. We are.
Okay. Okay. Go on, Sumi. It's all yours. Hello.
I think you're muted, Sumi. You're still muted.
Oh dear, sorry. Okay.
So you just tell me when you want to move, and I'll do the
Sure,
stuff for you.
sure. So what we have right now is where we basically land when we're initiating the wallet for the first time. So I have a few options here. I can either create a new wallet or restore from my keys. Anand, can you click on the first option where I'm creating a new wallet? So it's basically a 3-step process. The first is where I'm entering a name. Once I enter the name, I can choose between these two options. I either answer a security question or choose my own password. So whichever one I choose, I basically just click confirm and proceed. Yeah, so I'm answering a security question. Basically, choose one from the list that I have, and then just confirm the answer once. Once I proceed, the final step is to choose which accounts I want to be displayed on my portfolio screen. So we have a bunch of options here, but by default, we're selecting only 3. So that's the checking account, the savings account, and I think it's a Swan account when you scroll down as well. Yeah. So I can either choose more, unselect, or the option on the top right. Anand, can you click the one on the check-in account? No more. This is basically me telling the user what this account is. Um, most regular users might not be aware of but how different one account is from the other. So we sort of gave like information screen on each account. So once I selected these, and just click anywhere on screen. Yeah. So I will say proceed, or just move to the next screen. Yeah. Once more, and that's where I land. Based on whatever accounts I've selected, this is basically where I'll land.
So I'll take a quick pause here, Sumi, if you don't mind. That
Yeah, sure.
the login journey, or sorry, wallet creation journey, we looked at it. We have changed a bunch of things. Anything that comes out, any questions, any suggestions?
Yeah, did you want us to jump in as we go along or at the end? What
Yeah,
do you
yeah.
guys
I was thinking we'll do one journey and then jump in after every journey.
Okay.
So we just looked at the wallet initiation journey. It is a three-step process. Your name, how do you want to encrypt it, and finally, what are the accounts do you want to start off with? So that's what we have seen till now.
Yeah, hey, Anand. I had a question. The design looks very familiar. I remember a lot of things from this. I had two questions actually. Does it include? Did you say it got encrypted to cloud storage or locally? And
Yeah.
and then you would probably also there would have to be some type of permission, right? So like I would have to, if I'm on an iPhone, do I have to say like, okay, give access to this application for cloud storage, or is that access, or is that not a thing?
So yes, this is a cloud storage. So if you're on an iPhone, it will be your iCloud, and if it is Android, it is it's your Google account. The both the things work slightly differently. Both the operating systems. In Google, it will ask you for a permission, and it will basically ask you which account do you want to use. So if you have multiple accounts logged in, it will ask you, which is also like getting a permission. So that comes up, that's like a system message, and it comes up automatically on iOS because this is the app's own storage, right?
Yep.
It is actually something that app as soon as you load an app, it has its own backup scheme, backup space. So you don't need to you don't need to give permission. You can skip it here if you don't want to do the backup. We have given an option to skip the backup completely, but this is your own backup, and this is like the first level. You can always incrementally backup with more security with level 2 and level 3, which we'll come to. But here the user has three options. How do they want to encrypt it? Either with a security question, which is generally easier to remember, or they can choose their own encryption password and make it as long as they want to, but that will be difficult to remember, or skip. These are the three options they have at this stage.
Gotcha. Yeah, I was wondering here from the title to the choices that I have. So the question that I'm answering here as a user is, how do I, like, what text do I want to use to encrypt or to protect my data? There's a little bit, for me, there's a little bit of a disconnect between the title and then the choice that I'm making. Create initial cloud backup and then use answer or use password. So a better question for me would have been choose a protection mechanism or choose a protection key phrase or something like that. But the bigger question I really had was in the next one is you had so many. How did users react with to all the different account options that you had, and why did you decide to keep all of those options in there? Do people understand it? Do they use it correctly from your testing? All these different accounts and
So actually, that is quite a topic that we've been discussing internally, and we might not launch it on the first in the first release in 2.0, but we did debate it. The trade-off is this: you either give users a set of default accounts, and then they can go away and add more accounts. But what we have observed is the users don't really end up going to add accounts and looking at different. It's like an app store, but because you have decent accounts, checking account, savings account, and test account, they don't really go in there and explore that area. So this was also so that was one feedback. The other feedback was that users don't really know what these accounts are. They don't understand it. So probably this was an opportunity to give them a little bit of more details. That checking account, this doesn't have the right text, but let me go to the screen. But basically it will say, okay, a savings account is an on-chain 2 of 3 multi-signature wallet. Use it for securing larger amounts. So this is an opportunity to tell them a little more about what they are adding and what that means. So this is still not a given, that we want to include this screen or not, but definitely something which might make sense at least for some users because of these two things. And yeah, some users actually just want checking account. They don't want test account. They don't want savings account, or they just might want to do the donation account and checking account. So so that is the trade-off basically.
And then so between checking account and savings, I understand, okay, one uses probably a single key, the other one uses a multi-key. Is there, let's say I do use a donation account, is the experience, is the user interface very different between the accounts, or is it primarily the key scheme that changes?
The donation account is very different because the donation
Okay.
account is basically, it gives you a web link where you can post that link anywhere, and it what it does is it gives you different addresses every time. So whenever you refresh so I can put the name of the donation or the cause and a small description, and it generates a web link, and you put it in your Twitter profile, you put it anywhere else instead of just putting an address. It's a way of you if you don't have a website, you just have a Twitter profile or something, you can put it there and start accepting donations, and the donations directly land in your that particular account.
Okay, excellent. Very cool.
So yeah, this screen we are not yet sure about. We might want to start with default or what, but yeah, we are getting. So you guys, what do you guys think? If we just go around this is too much to ask in the onboarding journey, or is it okay to ask?
Did anyone have any comments before I jump in?
Sorry,
No.
what was that?
No, go ahead, Alexa.
Well, for me, I think the color, I know that you're highlighting the checking and the savings account, but you're also highlighting this one Bitcoin. And it felt to me a little bit like maybe you could only click on those. So I don't know, it feels like maybe it's a little bit too much, but I understand that you have different options that you may not have in different wallets. So I don't know, why did you pick like this one Bitcoin as an option to be highlighted? Because I think I get the checking account, the savings account, maybe they could be a little higher up, and then other options, I don't know, on a separate screen or something of the sort. But why is this one account highlighted?
So on account, if we go with that wallet logic that needs to be defaulted, and we can actually experiment with it. We can give it to some users without this screen, and we can give it to some users with this screen and see how they behave. But essentially, Swan account will be on the top. That's clearly a feedback. As in, I also wanted to say that it makes sense for the selected accounts to be on the top together.
Just one thing from me as well, or one or two things. So just on the automatic cloud backup screen, it wasn't immediately obvious to me like what was being backed up. I don't know if maybe more of a reference to the fact that it's like some kind of recovery data that's being backed up would be helpful there. And then the choice of using like a password. Well, one, like the language, like I always kind of cringe a little bit when I see like encryption used and words like this. I feel like users find that like a bit scary and stuff. But then there's always then the idea, for at least for me, for the cloud backup is to take some of the burden off of a user in the initial onboarding phase, at least perhaps for like that low value spending kind of use case. And so one, by making them set a password, like we kind of remove some of the benefits by using this mechanism. I feel like what we've seen with some of the implementations for like a cloud backup is getting users to set like a PIN, like a 4-digit PIN, is perhaps like a preferable way to go about this. And so, and assuming, I don't know if you've seen that in the Bitcoin design guide, we do have like a couple of pages around automatic cloud backup. So that might be, I'll post in the chat. That might be of interest to you. I don't know if you've seen it or not. There's one in onboarding and there's one in private key management section as well, with some mock-ups that you might find helpful as well. So yeah, have a look at those two resources, and that might be able to like shape this a little bit differently. I won't talk about them too much because I think the pages do enough to kind of describe what the guide suggests. So definitely have a look at that as well.
Okay.
I think great point. But one of the things, the trade-off is that if you use the PIN for securing the iCloud backup, that's quite easily easily brute forceable. So having a security answer or some kind of a slightly alphanumeric thing is slightly more secure. So yeah, ideally it would be great if they just land onto the home page, but we were not able to really get away from this because we don't want an unencrypted backup on your cloud, right? So that's where we're stuck.
So yeah, but I guess that is the trade-off, right? Is the kind of this I guess the suggestion is the PIN would be used to encrypt your recovery phrase or any other data you want to use. I guess if brute forcing is a concern, maybe like make it a 6-digit PIN, maybe. I don't know how much more that makes it difficult to brute force. That could be an option, but then you can also have like add a layer on top of that in terms of like adding 2FA, maybe like Google Auth or some other 2FA method on top of that as well. Could be interesting as well.
Right. So do you guys think that PIN? The other problem with PIN is that backups are generally needed like once in a year, once in a couple of years, or maybe even more. And one of the things that we know very well is that people, for example, with passphrase, they don't really end up remembering what the passphrase was, even though they have backed up their seed. So we wanted this to be something that is easy to remember. Pins are not really, as in if you use pins too often and keep changing them, maybe it's not the easiest of things to remember. So is
Yeah.
that will not be a problem trying to remember the pin 2 years down the line?
No, that's an interesting point, but I think you would want to have like some recovery mechanism by which someone could reset their pin. So like keeping with the login less nature of it, you could still, at least in like, for example, like the Photon setup, like you can set like an email or a phone number to reset a pin anyway. So you can have that additional like recovery mechanism as well. So
Yeah, we are trying to stay away from taking any personal data. So we don't want to take email or phone number. Otherwise, it would definitely would have been simpler. But that's another then onboarding step, right? If you have to provide your email or phone number, that's also another step in the
that
onboarding.
that would be optional though. I'd say make it optional. I wouldn't say take it in the onboarding, initial onboarding. So I'd have it in like maybe in setting somewhere like if you have forgotten your PIN, then you can recover it using. And obviously, a user doesn't have to pick an email that identifies themselves either. So
Right. Okay. No, points taken. I will probably discuss it internally and see what how we can use the PIN without using the phone number and email. We don't want to delve into any personal data because of GDPR, any of those other issues.
yeah,
And if the
makes sense.
data leaks, we know what the problems are. So we want to try and see if we can do it without taking any personal data. PIN is an option, but then it's a trade-off. If you make it very difficult, it's very difficult to log in every time. Okay, I have jotted down the points. We don't have a solution, but this is all good feedback. So moving on.
Now, what is it that you have within the security center? It says that you can adjust the settings there.
Yeah, I'll come to it. Sumi will come to it.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
So initial, what you're seeing right now is basically a dashboard on top, where I'm showing the name of the wallet, what my current value is,
Balance,
all
yeah.
of my accounts collected, and any important notifications there are regarding the security level, basically, where it says approve the request for recovery. If I have any keepers who are waiting for a key from my side, any notifications sort of that way come on top of there. I have a QR, an option to go from here to the QR screen where I can scan it, and then my regular notifications. So how I navigate between screens is at the bottom. I have my portfolio, which is basically home. There's friends and family. There's buy, and you might have to scroll from the bottom. I don't think it's linked. Yeah. So this is friends and family. This is where all my contacts are, the ones I've saved, the ones who are still I'm waiting for approval from. There'll be sort of a tag over there that I'm still waiting. My cross says pending. The next screen is buy, where I have a list of services that I can buy Bitcoin from, and on top there's like a filter mechanism where I can either be displayed options that I can buy Bitcoin using Apple Pay or bank cards or bank transfers or other options that might be available to me. The next is my wallet security. So what stage of the backup I am on, if there's any indication that I need that needs my attention, there's an error, there's an icon that shows that. Also, whoever has given me their keys to keep, I can see them over there. So if anybody needs my attention, there's sort of an indication over there, so I can just access it from the screen. And then the last is just phone settings. If I want to manage my accounts, information about my application, wallet settings, and stuff like that. So
So
this
this
is basically the first layer of our wallet, and every major screen there is.
So this is the security screen, that security section that you were talking about. This text is incorrect. This text will change, but basically it has 3 levels. The first level is automated cloud backup, and then you can move to level 2 if you have more funds, and then level 3, which is a multiple recovery key based backup scheme, which is much more resilient. So this is these are 3 levels. We had a separate session on just the levels and how we do it and the benefits of it. But this is where you come to if you want to make changes or manage them.
Thank you for showing that. You know, whenever we arrive, I remember like the first time we looked at the Hexa wallet. I know that you tend to pay attention to all of the little details and try to tell people like what everything is, and it's always interesting to see how you're rethinking that. So thank you for sharing.
Sure. So the difference from the 1.0 is that it's not just the backup, but more like security and privacy. So we have also put in Tor here. And also when you are being a keeper of some other of your friends and family, then you can access them from here. So that section. I just go one screen at a time and see if anyone has questions or comments about that. So this is your portfolio with different accounts and stuff like that.
Is there
Is this
something in particular? Oh, I'm sorry, I don't know who's talking. Or is there something in particular that you'd like help with, like something, or is it a
I,
general whatever we notice?
so this, sorry, this is like the overall screen, right?
Yeah.
So I was a bit confused because when I saw my portfolio, is it like kind of it's designed to give you like uh is it supposed to be like you're supposed to see like the price increase over like a certain time of your Bitcoin, or because when I see this like nothing here suggests anything like about necessarily saving or spending, or is it like a wallet like designed for more just like tracking the progress of your Bitcoin? Because if that's the case, you have like the different account mechanisms that are designed to do like a lot of different things. I don't. That's a bit of a weird question that I've asked, but I'm kind of just brain dumping a little bit. Sorry.
Is it Connor? Sorry, Connor. Is it the word portfolio that's throwing you off? Like portfolio, typically. I mean, when I think of portfolio, I see like stocks portfolio.
Yeah.
Is that the word that you?
I think it might. Yeah, I think it might be like because initially when we had like all of the account different types of accounts, and then I'm finding it hard to like link portfolio to like the different accounts.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Can you go to the next screen?
Sure. So I think basically it is just about accounts and the total of your accounts. Maybe portfolio is not the right term. Maybe it should just say my accounts. But that was the.
Oh no, that's not what I'm looking at. Sorry, it's just I'm on the presentation on slide 17. And I think maybe that is more of what you'd expect to see, and I don't know where that one came from. That one. See, I think I'd probably arrive and expect to see a little bit more like that than the portfolio part.
Right.
This
so
was actually our old design. Yeah.
We wanted to keep it here for comparison. But yeah, this particular screen. Now that you say maybe if it is my accounts, it might be more understandable. Is that something that's going to help?
Yeah, I was just as we're talking about this portfolio, I pulled it up on my phone too, and the text gets incredibly small on that graph. But I think the main question on how to decide this though is why do people come here? What's their primary activity? If the primary activity is sending and receiving, that could be the main thing. If it is really keeping an overview of account changes that have happened since their last visit, maybe I don't know, as a merchant, you receive maybe, I don't know, different users have different use cases, but that could let you better decide what should be the primary focus here, whether it's the portfolio or more those send and receive options.
Yeah, that is a very good question. That's how we went about the 5 tabs. So what we thought is that when the user lands on the home screen, essentially this tab is about checking my accounts and checking my balances. That's the intent of the user on this screen. And if you see the red dot, that tells you if there's a new transaction in that particular account. So if you see a red dot, you would go in, and that you will clearly see a transaction marked out, which says this is a new transaction. So it's about going into your wallet and checking the balance and checking the status of your accounts. That's the intent of this particular screen. When you go to friends and family, the intent here is I want to do something with my friends and family. Either I want to send to them, add a new friend family, or I want to connect to one of their nodes. Or help them recover their wallet or something of that sort. So it is when the intention of the user is when they log in, they want to think of where they're thinking about their friends and family or contact list. This is where they would end up going. This buy is obviously it's quite a as in when people want to buy, they just go onto the screen, select the service they want to buy from, and then follow the steps. Security and privacy is again quite obvious. If they have a notification about their security, or they want to check where their security is, or improve their privacy or anything, that's where they go. So we have designed these tabs with intent in mind, and that is, as I described, that's the intent of this particular screen.
Yeah, and that makes total sense too. And Connor, maybe another thing to keep in mind is that when you arrive here, like as a first-time user, you don't arrive in a wallet with $4 million in it. I wish that was the case, but that's not the case in reality, I think. So we would arrive here and everything's empty, right? Portfolio is empty. There are no dollars anywhere to be seen, and it would invite me and tell me like, okay, now first thing you do is either buy Bitcoin or transfer some from your other account. And same with the friends and family. When it's empty, it would probably ask you. It would explain to you what you can do and why you should add friends and family, right? So we just have to keep in mind that this is already kind of a seasoned user here, seasoned multimillionaire user.
Yeah,
Design. Yeah.
I agree with that, but even I've actually spoken to like a few apps about this that are trying to who attempt to integrate like portfolio style features. I'd still say like in the screen, one portfolio to me means a makeup of different types of assets, and then two, like I want to see straight away like how it's performing over X amount of time. Sure, we have like the kind of accumulation of the amount of Bitcoin in this case US dollar terms over some period, but for most users they want to know whether or not, if it's an investment to them, they want to know whether or not they've made money over X period of time. And so if that is the mindset that it is being looked at, this wallet is looking at it to some degree as an investment, then I feel like some of those mechanisms would be helpful for people for sure.
Okay. So you mean to say that if I bought it at a certain price, it should tell me the gains or the losses I've made?
Yeah, especially if you've got like mechanism for people to buy it, like on Swan and Wire and all of these places. Like it's so it like, because typically someone might buy on an exchange and then transfer to cold storage, but then they'd have to use a separate portfolio app to track when they bought it and the price increase in that fiat currency's terms. And there's not that many apps that allow you to do it in one place.
So instead of portfolio, how about just calling it my balance or balance change? Would that
or something like that?
Yeah. I mean, when I look at my bank account, they have this graph here, and it's kind of nice to see, how the balance has changed. And just as a very quick check of how much money has, I can easily tell, like, okay, my what's it called? My salary has come in because there was a big bump up, or there were my rent was paid. There's a big bump down. It's just kind of a quick check to see how your balance has changed. So I find a graph generally useful for these things. Maybe it's just the title or the label.
Right. So we have a few words to play with: accounts, balances, portfolio, and probably I look at the text for the graph and stuff. So I'm making notes. Yeah, but this is
but Christoph, when you say that, you're saying that like you're more looking at exactly. You're looking at it more from like a balance. You're looking at your checking account balance and your savings account balance. You're not looking at it as in like your return on investment though. And that's
no. I don't think this is an investment app. This is a more like my bank account.
Yeah, that's the idea, that ideally in the future you should be able to receive your salary, create invoices, everything from here. So it's Bitcoin based bank where you would want to see it like a bank. So yeah, balance is what it's trying to show. Yeah.
But you will have the ability to buy Bitcoin in the app.
Yes, that's an option, like probably you would have in a bank as well. But that the wallet is not complete if you can't buy bitcoins from it. So there is a buy feature, but the theme of the wallet, or the positioning of the wallet, is like a bank account with the checking account and savings account and those kind of things.
Okay.
So I think portfolio is actually quite investy kind of thing. So yes, I think that word is definitely a bit misleading. But yeah, we'll have to think about a better way to explain it. Maybe account balances or something like that.
One other thing that we wanted to discuss was about keeping the buy at the bottom navigation, so having 5 or 4.
Yeah, yeah. So
So
this is a small thing we just want to take a feel of it is that we have experimented internally with 5 tabs and then 4 tabs and putting a buy option somewhere on this screen because essentially buy is not really a screen of its own because you select a particular platform and then it just links you to that platform and the money gets into your Hexa wallet, but it doesn't have too much of too many pages or too many screens. Plus, the bottom navigation bar is much cleaner. So, what do you guys make of that? Any suggestions and comments there?
Is it only buy or is it also sell? Like, can I send money from here back to my bank account, for example, my fiat bank account?
That is not yet there right now, but as our partners support sell, for example, Swan doesn't have a sell option, Wire doesn't have a sell option, but when they do it, yes, that should be possible as well. So it's buy and sell, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe a few months down the line.
I mean, one way, the first time probably see a buy option in general is if I go to an account and it's empty, right? If I just created this wallet, I go to my savings account, there's nothing there. It could suggest, okay, here, click here to buy some or exchange some Bitcoin.
Right.
And then that's probably the first time people are faced with this option. And
Right.
I don't know how important is it to your business model. If it is important, you might want to put it.
It is quite. This is the revenue stream.
Yeah.
So it is kind of important, but we don't want to kind of force it on the face right now. Maybe we'll experiment with getting more users first. So
No, that's interesting. Maybe then, like, I don't know if it's a separate screen or somewhere on that screen where we saw the portfolio, but you definitely would want a way where if you buy through Ramp, Wire, or any other mechanism that you want it to be like, I bought from Wire on this day, this was the price, this is how much it's gone up. Because you're also, if you're seeing it as a bank account, you're also going to be receiving Bitcoin potentially from on a peer-to-peer basis, and you're not going to be tracking it as necessarily as an investment at point and at that point. And so the ones you receive just pure peer-to-peer and the coins you receive through exchanges are just going to become mixed, and you're not going to know which one I bought as more as a savings in this case maybe, and which ones I received in my checking account if they're all in one balance, and I don't know how much this is increased in dollar terms, and it can get quite confusing quite quickly, I think, anyway.
yeah, so there was one requested feature which I don't think we have the screen for that right now, but it was that when I got those sats in, what was the value of this transaction? So when you so basically it can apply to peer-to-peer or even when you buy stuff. So what the way we have tried to deal with it is when you go into the transaction details, that is when it shows you the dollar value of when that transaction came in with that timestamp.
Yeah, I like that. I like the idea of that.
I would keep the tab there. Just try it out.
Sorry?
See what happens. You were asking if you should go for 4 or 5 tabs. I would just go for it. No particular reason, but if that's an important thing for you as a team and as a company or product to figure out, we'll just go for it.
Right. Okay.
What does everybody else think? Anybody have any very good rationale from kind of a?
I'll keep it. I like the flow because it means that I'm assuming when people buy, like, they will just withdraw straight away to an address on this wallet, right? So rather than having to have an account with, say, Coinbase, withdraw from Coinbase to an external wallet. Like it's all done in one place. Like I think it's pretty good if you ask me.
Yeah, and where else would you put it if you didn't place it here?
So the other option was we can place it. So this graph is kind of nice to have, and we could replace it with a buy button and just a Bitcoin price for that day. So that was another option we were thinking about. So when it's like these 4 tabs, we'll just replace this graph with a simple one BTC equal to whatever your fiat selection is, and then a buy button next to it.
That would be very in your face.
Yeah, that too.
I
That's
like that
okay. I
vibe,
think,
you know, it feels like it flows better. And you're automatically, I think, gonna try the middle, maybe, you know, the buy. Maybe that's the first thing you do anyway.
yeah. Okay. Great.
It's actually, I'm sorry if I could ask one question. Do you know from your user feedback how many users create a new wallet and how many of them end up buying Bitcoin or transferring from existing Bitcoin they already have?
So most of the people actually buy. Most of the guys who are using our wallet are first time users, and they when they land, either they ask when we did not have that buy feature. The first, one of the first question is that the wallet is great, but how do I get bitcoins? I don't care about any other feature.
Yeah.
So that's why we prioritized it, built it up. So the short answer is yes. That's the first thing they look for, is how do I buy Bitcoin.
Yeah, then maybe give it the
But
visibility.
these are not Bitcoiners. These are not like people who have. They might have somewhere. Some people do transfer it, but most of the people either they buy from it and transfer, or only buy. Right. Anything else, Sumi, you want to talk about?
No, not from these screens.
Yeah, I'll move. How many of you were able to understand what this thing means?
I
Or
like that feature. Is that the node connection?
Yay!
Or am I totally off and it's completely different?
We
No, no,
struggled for a while with it for a while. Actually, couldn't understand how to show node because there's not a universally accepted representation. So I just ended up making something, and I wasn't sure how obvious it is.
Well, you know, maybe for us it would be something that we associate because we've seen a few symbols of nodes, but maybe for other people it isn't so.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I
that's
don't
what I
know.
thought.
And I don't know what would be most important to see there. Like, would you want to see more of a send money button, or you know, or receive and share or something of the sort? I don't know. Just I know you have a lot of details here, and you've worked very hard on all of these. So some of the questions that we have are more of like, what happens when you click on this, and what options do you get, and so I don't know. But if those nodes are connected, like, and you already have them there, it's kind of cool. I think it's a nice feature.
So that's basically me telling the user that Tommy has his own node. So if I want to move from the Bitcoin BitHive's node to Tommy's, I can it's just available for me there. So instead of like putting a tag over there that just spells out node, I sort of wanted a visual representation. But yeah, I wasn't really sure how obvious it is. I mean, I'm newbie with Bitcoin, so but I still have some idea, and because we did a lot of these no more screens that you keep seeing everywhere, so I've actually read up quite a bit about it. So in my head, I can associate it, but then, like I said, there's not a universally accepted representation of node, and for a first-time user, it might not be that obvious.
But a first-time user also would not see this. They would not come here and it would be a populated list. It would be empty. And then they would say, okay, I want to add Tommy. And then it tells me, hey, Tommy has a node. Do you want to connect to his node instead of using ours? And
that's interesting. Yeah.
then that symbol could be used there. And that way a user becomes familiar with the symbol through this introduction, and then they recognize it later.
And I think it's fine that it's not that there's not a universal symbol. I think that one. I think good job on that one because I think you can't get it.
Awesome.
Great. And anyway, this is going to be for a user who has been and has learned what a node is really. So we can definitely hide it away. But there was a neat thing we wanted to showcase, that we wanted to push users to connect to their friends and family node rather than our node. So
That's
that
a good
was
idea.
right. So now this screen quickly, and basically we are trying to give some filters on the top where the user can select the payment method, and it just tells you what it just orders the service or filters the services based on that.
I don't quite get it. It says buy, and then I see the options all or Apple Pay. I want to buy Apple. I'm assuming I want to use
Payment
Apple
method.
Pay to buy
Right.
Bitcoin. Okay.
Right.
And
So it
then,
should say
or I can
payment
log into an account, or I can connect with an account. And what happens if I tap Apple Pay here? What happens then?
So the services which don't have Apple Pay will just not show.
Those are basically filters on top.
It's filters. Okay.
Do you guys have a preference for which one of these services has the best UX for buying? I think I've used Wire before and it was pretty good. Do you have I'm just thinking if it could be quite overwhelming to see 6 different ways to buy and not know which one is necessarily optimal or best one or easiest one, or if it supports my credit card or doesn't. Is there one or two, maybe, I don't know, that you think are quite seamless, with what your guys are doing?
So I think this is a very interesting point. One is because all the options are not supported in all countries. So this will only show you what is supported in your country. So that's one. So
Oh,
probably,
interesting. Okay.
yeah. So this is like, for example, Get Bitter and Fast Bitcoins are only in Europe. Swan is only in US. Ramp and Wire are pretty much everywhere. So you might end up having less than the list you see here. That's one thing. Second thing is,
Oh, okay.
legally we cannot show a preference whatsoever. So
Oh,
that's
okay,
one thing
interesting.
to keep in mind. And we had a very fruitful and interesting discussion with FCA, and a lot of effort there. But so we are able to do this while they had a doubt about this. But one of the things that obviously came out, that we cannot make one more preferable than other. So that's another small thing from a design perspective. Also, we have to make sure.
Okay, that's interesting actually. Do you know which it's slightly? Do you know which one supports the most jurisdictions? Because I see Casa have opted for. I think they're using Wire as well. I think.
Yeah. So Wire is generally used by Casa and even Aqua Wallet by Blockstream. They both use Wire. Wire and Ramp both are available in most of the countries, but the rates are slightly higher than, let's say, Swan or a Get Better.
Okay, interesting.
Something that makes me wonder about this. You have the first thing that you do is either you buy Bitcoin or you want to receive some Bitcoin. And I know obviously the receive part is probably somewhere in the checking account, and probably even trying to put that here will be a little confusing. But I don't know. Just I think you either buy or you want to receive, and maybe that's more of the screen that gets up there.
Right.
Because you have the little QR code, it makes me wonder what do you do? Is it relatively easy to ask for Bitcoin to be sent to you, or does it take kind of a few more steps than you're used to compared to other wallets?
This QR code will take you to a screen where you can send or receive. Um, that's one. That's a shortcut to sending and receiving.
Okay, that sounds reasonable. I think it'd be the sort of thing you'd expect. It'll be the fastest route.
Yes, yes. You can go into an account and receive from them, but obviously, like you said, you might want to kind of, that's the whole purpose of opening the wallet. So you don't want to necessarily go into an account. So you just go here and then you can receive.
I was wondering if there is the choice of payment the primary way that a user decides which service to use. My first thought would be, and I don't know if you have this data, something like fees, or maybe somebody wants to dollar cost average and have buy 50 euros worth every month, and maybe only certain services support that. So different ways of buying and different price points or whatnot. Can you add that? Do you have that information, or is that too deep into each of those services?
It is so answer is no, because most of some of them don't support it, some of them do, but you can't show fee for some and not for some. So we did try, that would have been the best indicator on the screen for user to decide, but right now it's not available. However, these guys are working on it. They know that they want to be able to expose the fee. So as and when data comes, I understand that payment method is not the most the first thing you would think. You would try to decide based on fee and probably the success rate. But otherwise, other than that, we don't have the data for all of them right now. This screen is going to develop slowly and slowly as more partners come in, as more data comes in from the partners. It will develop, but right now we don't have that particular fee data.
Yeah, very cool. You have a ton of stuff going on here. It's a lot of functionality here. Very rich. Connor, we're almost on time here for the hour.
Yeah, and I do have a hard stop as well, actually. So yeah, maybe if there's any like last few comments, and then we'll stop the recording. But feel free to obviously stay on after the call and stuff. Is there any other kind of final comments?
Anything you want to particularly check, Sumi, or talk about any of those things?
One thing we wanted to talk about was the bottom sheets versus what we're doing, just regular pop-ups now. But so the last few screens are like comparisons of the screens side by side, and yeah. So
Okay. I will have to go, so I'm gonna stop the recording. But again, just while we're on recording, thank you for your time. You guys have put in so much hard work, and like Christoph said, you got so many rich features that like majority of wallets don't have. It's just, I guess, how to kind of to organize them and put them in a streamlined way so everyone can kind of get the benefits from them. But I hope we've been able to give you some good feedback today anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. It was helpful.
So 1 second.